Boundaries are constantly blurring in Kiss of the Spider-Woman, the revolutionary mid-80s film that became a Candor and Ebb musical and that cunningly and stunningly morphs back to the big screen, courtesy of Dreamgirls director Bill Condon. Confined mostly to an Argentine detention facility in 1983, at the height of the country's dirty war, the show is the flip side of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Evita, focusing on the brutal military regime that followed Eva Perón's ouster. Bleak as that may sound, the musical finds rare shards of light and an unlikely connection in the most despairing of places. In every incarnation of Manuel Puig's novel, cinema offers much-needed escapism from not only political injustice, but also the kind of biological prisons that oppress us. Sitting in the dark, transfixed the dreams unfolding on screen, filmgoers leave their bodies for a time, identifying with whomever it is they're watching, regardless of gender. That's a phenomenon that both drives and describes the allure of Kiss, in which Head in the Clouds Molina Tonatiuh, a sex offender assigned to the same cell as the activist Valentin, Diego Luna, spins tales inspired by classic Hollywood movies to ease their time behind bars. The two prisoners could not seem more different when they meet. Long-haired and delicate, Molina moves like a woman, identifying with the Hollywood glamour shots he hangs on the wall, the first place we see Jennifer Lopez, who plays the Dolores Del Rio-like screen legend Ingrid Luna. Whereas Molina's every gesture seems calculated for a camera only he can see, intense-minded Valentin can't be bothered, neglecting his health for the sake of his cause. Though the dissident resents the distraction, Molina was strategically placed in Valentin's room to extract the secrets he refuses to spill under interrogation. Molina shows no interest in politics whatsoever, and as his deal with the warden, Bruno Bichir, demonstrates, he's not above betraying others for his own advantage, a duplicity echoed in his tales of the Spider-Woman. Also Lopez, the femme fatale of a fictional film he saw years before. Molina worships La Luna, as he calls the star of that movie, annoying Valentin with his pop culture prattle. "Why do you make yourself trivial?" asks Valentin, who spends his time reading, however futile that seems. No one leaves the prison's political section, where most of the inmates have been hooked on morphine. Survival matters in this place, but so does protecting his fellow desaparecidos, dissidents abducted by the junta, and Valentin is determined to hold out, while self-deluding Molina plays housewife in a makeshift domestic charade. Looking back on reviews of the earlier film and stage production, Molina is nearly always referred to as a homosexual. But Puig pushed back on that label from the outset, citing social critic Theodore Roszak in the footnotes of his novel, the kind of woman who is most in need of liberation, and desperately so, is the woman which every man keeps locked inside the dungeons of his own psyche. Could this mismatched duo's connection be described as a romance? In contemporary terms, Molina would almost certainly identify as trans, though that's but one of the evolutions depicted in the film, which observes Valentin and Molina develop feelings for each other. Following the lead set by Terrence McNally, who wrote the book of the musical, Condon is shrewd not to overexplain the pair's relationship. Like the soft focus lavished on a golden age film star, a certain ambiguity goes a long way in letting one's imagination complete the picture. Instead, where Condon gets specific is in showing the technicolor fantasies into which Molina escapes. Each time Kiss cuts away from the cold gray walls of the cell, it calls for a star who can vamp her way through 1960s-style song and dance numbers, the way Chita Rivera did on stage. Here we get no less a diva than Lopez smoldering in a three-pronged role, Ingrid Luna, Aurora, and the Spider-Woman, which should draw crowds who might not otherwise have a taste for musicals. And yet, it's relative newcomer Tonatiuh who walks away with the show, finding both strength and vulnerability in a character who seems less frivolous with each passing scene. As Ingrid Luna, Lopez embodies a kind of Latin American feminine ideal, which Hollywood only half-successfully molded in its Anglo image, as her blonde hair and elegant Edith Head-like costumes suggest. Molina celebrates her in the song, She's a Woman, confessing what most viewers will have already guessed. How lucky can you be? I wish that she were me. After each fanciful vignette, Valentin fires back his critique, calling musicals pure propaganda, an ironic line in a film that aligns itself not with the ruling class, but renegades and outsiders. Condon is a wizard with actors, and with She's a Woman, he gives Tonitiuh his Jennifer Hudson moment, letting the character's inner yearning shine through every shot. Except with the title number, which features Lopez at her most fabulous, the filmmaker relies more on choreography than melody to make the songs sparkle. Condon, who also adapted Chicago for the screen, seems relatively restrained here, switching back and forth between the grubby reality of incarceration and Molina's fanciful digressions, creatively translating Dear One, originally sung between the two prisoners and the women waiting for them on the outside, into an acoustic guitar ballad, Corrido.